In this video I will be playing a 2300 rated opponent here on Leeches because I am really trying to reach 2300 rating myself. I am very close, so I decided why not record these final games. We are of course always playing the Pegasus system opening, which is d4 knight to d2. And would you look at that, my opponent is already thinking from the first move, wasting their time, and they are pretty much just walking straight into my opening theory. So this is definitely going to be a very interesting game. I don't know how much commentary I will be able to give during the game. I will try, but from experience, the more I talk, the worse I play, and especially against these 2300 rated opponents. It ain't fun if you need to talk and play at the same time. They are playing the fianchetto setup, which means they want to put a bishop there. It's not a good setup against the Pegasus system, so we can just continue, which means we can grab the entire center. They will castle, and I will castle most likely. This is very nice. We just have the center, we have nice developed pieces. This is very different from what we usually see when they play d5. It's a very different type of middle game that we are going to catch, but it's very good for white always, because we just control the center, we have developed pieces, so everything is going great. Of course, up to this point, I am still very familiar with this opening. Usual plans for us are castling, playing c3, playing h3 at some point, playing d5 at some point, and then just normal development of the pieces. Sometimes we can also play pawn to e5 to basically get a pawn in there. Yeah, this is what I was going to say. When they play the bishop here and they pin, playing h3 is very good if they cannot go back to h5, because basically that forces them to trade, and we just get our knight, which was a bit passively placed, at least against this fianchetto setup. That knight was a bit passively placed. We just get it to a better square now. So this is a very good trade for us. So far so good. I mean, I haven't really had to think or use any time, and my opponent already burned almost 2 minutes just to get this very standard position. I guess probably they will castle, I will castle, and then we are going to continue from there. I would personally probably have to look up my theory once again, because I know at some point we play e5, but sometimes it's also a bad move, sometimes it's a good move, sometimes you want d5. So I'm not entirely sure in this exact position what we would want to achieve. Because one thing with e5, of course, is that if they take, yes, you are kicking away the knight, but you also leave yourself with somewhat of a isolated pawn, you could say, on e5. So it's really something to think about. What I like more is this variation where they play knight here. I play c3 to take away that square from the knight. And then we push d5, and then the knight literally has no squares. It has to go back, and if it goes to the edge of the board, it's just trapped by us pushing a bunch of pawns. That's one of my favorite variations there. Okay, now I have to think. I have never seen this c6 move before. So what does it do? c6. I guess they are trying to push d5, but that would be terrible. Then we just have e5. Or they are trying to push e5 and also make sure that we cannot push ourselves. I guess what I can do is the very standard plan of b3, bishop b2. I usually don't play that setup against this fianchetto, but I think here it might work. One other thing I could probably do is just bishop to g5. Yeah, I think bishop to g5 is probably also fine, and then queen d2, and maybe we have bishop h6. And also if they push e5, then their knight is pinned. Yeah, I think both of those variations are probably fine. I will go with this one, because usually I don't play the b3 bishop fianchetto against this setup, because it can be useful to have a pawn on c3, and you don't want to have your bishop on this diagonal with your pawns on c3 and d4, because then your bishop is quite locked in and it's pretty useless. So I'll place it here. The only downside with this move is this might mean that we will be trading a bishop for a knight while we currently have the bishop pair. So not always ideal. But I just remembered that 2 days ago I had a group coaching session, and one of my students played against this fianchetto setup, and I think they played bishop. Yeah, they played bishop g5 as well, with the idea of forcing them to push a pawn, and then you go back to e3. So maybe we will try that. I haven't played that before, but one of my coaching students played this in the Pegasus system, so might be interesting. By the way, if you are interested in learning how to play chess from me, you should definitely go to pegasuschess.com. We have a free community, we have free courses, and then there's also an upgrade possibility if you want to have actual daily chess coaching sessions. So make sure to have a look at that if you are interested. My opponent is playing so slow. I thought I wouldn't have any time to talk in this video, but he is literally just thinking and thinking, and I mean, he's already down 4 minutes on the clock, and I'm still in a very, very simple position. It's only move 9, you know, move 9. And he already used more than 4 minutes. I am very confused by that. Okay, so what plans do we have? I think queen d2 is a lot of fun because they cannot play h6. Yeah, I'll play it. Just queen d2, and now we have this battery with the queen and the bishop. That cannot be bad. Okay, they push, which is fine because now their knight is pinned. And we can play that c3 pawn that I talked about before. And the plan is just that if they take, we get a replacement pawn. So we keep the 2 pawns in the center. And now I just have to activate my rooks. I think e file, d file, c file. These will be the best files. Depends a little bit what is going to open up. I think it will be the E and D file here because we will need one defensive rook and then one on the D file maybe. Okay, so queen there. I'm not sure if that's doing anything. I could play bishop h6. If he takes and I take and then I go in with the knight, there is some pressure there, but that checkmate doesn't work if they have the knight on f6, so I'm not sure. It's a plan in the future, I think, but I don't know if I should play it right here, honestly. I think it might make more sense to just activate the rooks to the middle of the board. I think that is what I will do, just activate the rooks. But I think maybe bishop h6 is also a move there. Trying to trade that bishop. But of course they probably won't take, so I have to waste 2 moves just to eliminate the bishop. But yeah, probably that was a good move as well. Because at least we don't have to trade for the knight, and this pin is useless. So I think maybe that was a better move. When I think about it now. I can play it still, but they can also draw back, which... yeah, I think we can try. Just have to make sure that if they capture, that this is still protected. It's attacked twice, it's also protected twice. So I think we can definitely try this bishop h6. I don't play this a lot usually, these types of battery structures. But yeah, we can try. Funny thing is now they can actually play bishop h8 to save the bishop and not run into the trade. But from experience, I know that that can also lead to trouble because we have such a good infiltrating bishop. And there are bishop in the corner, I don't know. But probably this position is still pretty equal, I think. White just has the center, white has better development, white has better pawn structure. What is that? What is that? I am very confused. This knight has no future? Or do they want to go to this square? Maybe they want to go to that square and then they want to go to f4. I think that might be something. We'll have to look into that in a moment. But if they go here, I always have g3 and then they are not really doing much. Except putting pressure on a pawn that's not going to move. I don't think we have any easy way to attack the king. I don't think there is something there. Like the h4, h5, those types of things, I don't think it's working here. So let's just play a quick optimization move, and let's see what I do. By the way, if you watch more of my videos, you know that I always talk about the CCTO strategy, checks, captures, threats, optimization. Basically, you need to go through those steps whenever it is your turn to move. Just so you know, I am always doing that. Even if I don't mention it, I am always doing CCTO. I just don't have the time during a live game to actually talk through all of the steps. But I do always look at every single check. We didn't have much this entire game. I think we barely had any checks except some queen sack here. The captures are always useless because they are just equal and they open up the D file. And there were no real threats except that entire sequence that we had with bishop and queen. So I've just been basically playing optimize, optimize, optimize every single step of the way. And optimize always means that we just want to have pieces into the game and play with the EDC pawn. So I pretty much follow the CCTO strategy that I talk about almost every video during this game. I did follow this strategy. Just don't have the time to talk through every move. Yeah, but I think we are doing so. I don't know why he is so slow. I think he is just very unprepared to play against this opening, I guess. Vladimir, he joined 8 months ago and he has played almost 4,000 games. So 4,000 games in 8 months, that's he plays quite some chess. But a little bit slow maybe, a little bit slow. Or I am just playing way too fast. That's also possible. The only question I've had all this time is, what is this going to lead to eventually? Because I really don't see what we are gaining from all of this, from this entire position basically. I think c5 is a plan for them. c5 because we don't want to take, and it's basically just an extra pawn that they can use to attack in the center. So should I play b4, which means if they play, I think I probably should get my queen out of the way, honestly. I think I should just move my queen. Because we don't really want to have our queen on any file where there is a rook. That's one of my general rules. You don't want to have your queen on a file where there is a rook. Because if things open up, there is always possibility for tactics, because your queen and rook will be facing off. So I don't think there was much else. I think this is probably a very equal position, slightly better for white, I think, because we have a bishop and a knight against two knights, so that's slightly better for white. We also have a little bit more space, meaning our pawns are a little bit more advanced. We have more pawns in the center. We also have a bit better piece placement, like our pieces are doing better than my opponents. But really there's not that much going on. I think this is a very equal game. And this is one of those games we are only at move 16. Could you believe that we are only at move 16 and it's been going almost 15 minutes this game? But I think this will be a long endgame, a long endgame. And my opponent, he is already almost down to 2 minutes now. And I think that will be rough for him in the endgame. Because in the endgame, we will also have a bishop instead of a knight. Because I'm always just thinking about imbalances, meaning what's the difference in the position. And the difference in the position is just that we have a bishop and they have a knight. So in the end, I think we will have a potentially better endgame. Here it is, finally, knight to this square, to e6. I've been looking at that move for a while. And I think we just have to play g3 to stop the knight, and then maybe play king g2. Yeah. I'll just play it a bit fast here just to keep up the pressure, since we are already up on the clock, and I pretty much already calculated this sequence. h5, I don't know about h5. It's a bit weakening. I don't know if there is a plan there. What does he want? Like h4 and then h4 and then maybe he's trying to open up this so he can infiltrate with the rooks. Okay. I could play h4 myself. I am giving him a square for the knight. Which I don't think matters, but maybe we don't do that if we don't need it. And I think I could also move up my king. And I probably will move up my king. I probably should still play more quickly. But I probably will play my king here, since now we can also slide over some rooks. Okay, so I think he really has decided that he is going to all-out attack on the king side somehow. Okay. I'm thinking if there is ever a capture on e5, they capture with the pawn, and then, like, I move the bishop, I attack the knight, and everything opens up. We do end up in a pretty equal position from that. I think this probably works. But I could also keep the tension and not do anything. I was also just thinking maybe d5 was actually a move. I don't know, maybe I had that move a couple of times already. d5. But I might have to play b4. Yeah, I'll play this b4 plan. I don't know, I play this b4 plan. I'm not too sure what to do here, honestly. I will play on the queen side a little bit. Let's just push on the queen side. b4 is good because it always helps to stop c5, and I want to play d5 at some point. Okay. So he wants to trade knights with me, which is fine. Let's trade knights, I guess. We just have to watch out that he has some pressure there, and he will play queen d7 at some point. And if I play h4 and he takes, I have to go in with the king, which is quite strange. But I think what I can do probably is I can take the knight and then play h4. And he has to go back. Yeah, he has to go back. I think this is a plan. And I'm mostly looking at the clock, because this position is, I think, completely equal, or maybe slightly better for white. And he is just burning time on every single move, so that's okay for us. Knight there. I don't know, we could play something crazy like f4 as well. But I don't think we need anything crazy here. But slowly I'm also burning sometimes, so... The problem is he always has that c5, take, and then probably we play c4. We do end up with an isolated pawn, but we also have the most amazing center. So I really think that this move might work. But we do also give ourselves a backwards pawn. I'll just let him self-destruct at some point. That's my main strategy in chess, to just let them self-destruct. So I'll try not to think too long about these moves, and maybe I already created a bit too many weaknesses with pushing these pawns, but it's probably okay. No. I think I could really just take, but let's not do it. Let's just see. I want him to make a mistake, so The goal is just that we pass the turn back to him every single time. And I think pretty much he hasn't done anything except move the knight 5 times and exchanged it. And we are just grabbing space. But our time is also dropping slowly, so... Mostly because I am still talking too much, even though I said I wouldn't, but... I'm looking at something with b5. With b5 and a6 and... Something. There should be something there. Okay, now this is the most interesting moment all game long, because this might be a mistake. This might be a mistake. If I take, and he takes, and I go here, I attack his rook. Yeah. I don't know if it's a genius move, but at least we are making things complicated and he is running out of time. So I will probably have to shut up now and just try to win this game. Maybe on the clock. I think this will just trade everything and we will have an endgame. I thought there were definitely easier ways for him to trade it into the endgame. I think this was a very complicated sequence. Because this is the endgame I talked about like 10 moves ago, or probably even more, where I said it's just going to be an endgame where we have the bishop and they have the knight. But the good thing is I already pushed all of my pawns. So we are doing better in this endgame. We are definitely doing better. We might be able to create a passed pawn there at some point. And his knight is not even doing so great, so... Okay. I think this makes sense because we need to activate kings. King activity is very important. And he cannot enter anywhere, so... I'll try to just beat him on time mostly, I think, but positionally we are better, but I think I don't need to prove that if I can beat him on time. Or at least try. Okay. This is a very important moment. I think if I take the knight, I lose. The downside with him having the knight is that we always have to watch out for forks. And that's quite annoying. I might be running myself into a lost endgame here, honestly, but I'm trying to win on time, so... Okay. Okay, now this is winning for us. Yeah, this is definitely winning for us. But it wasn't easy. I mean, he really put up a fight there. I don't know. I think I might even have messed up the endgame at some point. The main thing I wanted to do was to keep the bishop. I think that was the most important part of it. But we are queening first, and I know my queen versus pawn endgame, so this is definitely winning. Alright, I think at least the endgame was exciting, and I'm only 10 points away from 2300, so maybe next game we will reach it. Thanks for watching.